Okay, now I'm looking forward to your solution for that exercise. Who wants to start? The major leadership styles. You can write it down to the chat as well. It's about which slide? It's chapter 6.
30 and 31.
Thank you very much.
31.
Here we are. Okay. The autocratic one. For myself, I wrote down the leader holds all authority, responsibility, and communication moving from top to bottom. Okay, it's written down there as well. Yeah, you are told what to do, when to do that. For myself, I have some add-on comments. Maybe you can write down your own comments for this exercise. The autocratic leader holds all authority and responsibility, and communication typically is moving from top to bottom. The second one, the participative leader. This type of leader shares authority with her or his employees by consulting with them, okay? And the communication is more done in the horizontal way. Please do your own comments for this exercise, okay? Just to say it again, the participative leader shares authority with employees by consulting with them, and communication not vertical but horizontal. And then I added another one, should be there as well, the entrepreneurial. I think we had a discussion on that, but not written down here. The last one I wrote down for myself, the entrepreneurial leader, task-oriented, driven, inspiring employees to follow, okay? Another type of add-on question could be, which leadership style do you think is the best one? List 3 arguments and briefly explain them, okay? Could be one task for the exam. What would be your answer to this add-on question? Which leadership style do you think is the best one?
In my opinion, it would be either participative leadership style or laissez-faire leadership.
I would tend to go to that direction, but an answer for the exam would always be it depends. Okay, it always depends on the task. I'm pretty sure that we have some tasks. I'm sure that we have some tasks where this one would be the best one. Okay, it always depends. But in terms of involving people, in terms of the so-called intrinsic motivation, this one I would say is poison, okay? In terms of intrinsic motivation. In terms of intrinsic motivation, we are more there. Encouraging people, empowerment, and so on. Okay. In the chat, we have some new entries. Autocratic, participative, laissez-faire, okay, yeah. Democratic is added as well. There isn't any best style. It really depends on the type of industry. Yeah, very good comment. Each type of leadership are good for certain type of industries. Yes, I agree. Okay, it always depends. And that's why I'm sometimes in favor of asking that questions for the exam, because it's a very open question and I would like to encourage you to think about it. Okay, this was question. I can't remember the number.
27.
27. Okay, I have the 29 in mind, but not in the written way. What are the major elements of SWOT analysis? Now, I don't want to send you to a breakout session. Let's start the discussion immediately. What are the major elements of a SWOT analysis? Yep.
It's the identification and evaluation of a firm's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Yes, very good. How would you describe strengths and weaknesses? Our strengths and weaknesses, we had no discussion about that, but just think about it. Our strengths and weaknesses external factors or internal factors?
Could be a bit of both.
Yeah, I would more tend to the internal factors when it comes to strengths and weaknesses, because strengths and weaknesses, they typically affect a company's capabilities, and that's why it's more the internal factors. Opportunities and threats, they exist independently of the firm, okay? And as opportunities and threats, they exist independently. That's why I would say this are more the external factors, and this are more the internal factors. Opportunities, conditions in the environment that could produce rewards, and threats, they are typically the conditions that may prevent the firm from reaching their objectives. That's typically how we can start a discussion about SWOT analysis. But here, just you should be aware of the terms, okay? When it will come to some further questions, maybe, then you should be able to mention what is meant by S, W, O, and T, maybe the internal and external factors, and that's a bit all. Okay, then, and you can see it here, DQ stands for discussion question. Another last discussion question. Do you think that people are really as important to an organization as this chapter seems to indicate? Or another way of asking this question could be, when it comes to, let's say, giving priorities to the resources a business is in need of, financial resources, informational resources, human resources, or human resources really the very most important one? What do you think?
Yes.
Yes, for sure. And why?
You need because you need people to actually run an organization. You need different kinds of people to not only run different departments, but also give different ideas, perhaps.
Yeah. From my point of view, the human resources are typically the most important one, because without people, you do not have any chance to accomplish your goals, okay? Now we are in the days of automation, industrial robots, and so on, but you need skilled employees to come up with all of the new technology as well, okay? And that should be all for this type of exercise. Okay, now we did a fast summary for the chapters 5 and 6 business. Now let's jump to economics and let's do one exercise for chapter 6. That one here I have in mind, because last week we did most of that exercises. I hope you can remember them. We did the 21 and the 22. Today it should be about the 23. Still, I would say the numbers are somehow outdated, but the idea is still a very important one. Congress and the president in the states, they decide that the states should reduce air pollution by reducing its use of gasoline, and so on and so on. This is a very good exercise in terms of summing up most of the topics we already had a discussion on, okay? That's why for this exercise, I would like to send you to the next breakout session. And please really invest some minutes on all the different subtasks, okay? Let's say about 8 to 10 minutes for that exercise. And here you can see it, how you should do it. Explain carefully using a supply and demand diagram. Maybe their diagram could help as well, okay? Economics, most of the time, it's not only about finding the proper arguments, but doing the graphs as well. Okay, let's start the next breakout session within Zoom and within the classroom on this exercise. Thank you very much for joining the next breakout session. Here we are. Or if you prefer to work alone, isn't it? That's for sure your decision. Okay, via Zoom, not all of you joined the breakout session yet. Please join your colleagues in the breakout session. Thank you very much. Okay, and now all of you are back. Okay, who wants to help me with part A of this task? Should they impose this tax on producers or consumers? Explain carefully using a supply and demand diagram. Exercise 623. Who wants to help me? Yep.
For the first exercise, what was the question again?
Should they impose this tax on producers or consumers?
This tax will be imposed on both.
Yeah.
On which side it will be on, it will mostly depend on the demand and the supply.
It will, at the end, it will depend upon the elasticities. The effects will depend upon the elasticities. But first of all, it doesn't matter. Okay, you will end up in the very same situation as we have seen. We have seen it there. Maybe we can speed up.
You're decreasing the quantity of both, and both are worse off.
Yes, should be there. Tax burden should be there. Taxes levied on sellers and taxes levied on buyers are equivalent. Okay, we will end up in the very same result. It doesn't matter whether you're imposing the tax on buyers or sellers. Okay, having a look to the chat. Your answer is not perfectly right. At the end, it doesn't matter. Okay, we are there. It doesn't matter whether the tax is imposed on producers or consumers. It doesn't matter whether the tax is imposed on producers or consumers. And here I would like to speed up, just referring to our slides. Please have a look to chapter 6, slide 36, in addition to 34 and 31. Okay, we will always end up in the very same situation, but the core is already written down on chapter 6, slide 36. And then we can speed up, and I think it was 34 and 31. Am I right? 31 upward and 34. 31 and 34. Okay, because if you have no tax at all, then the classic equilibrium. If you're imposing the tax on producers, then the supply curve shifts to which direction? If you impose the tax with regards to the producers, we are not here, but there. With regards to the producers, it's not a shift to the left, it's a shift to the top, and so on. Okay, please be aware of not shifting left and right whenever it's about taxes, whether it's about shifting up or down. Okay, and then next question here. If the demand for gasoline were more elastic, would this tax be more effective or less effective in reducing the quantity of gasoline consumed?
More effective.
If it's more, if demand is more elastic,
Yeah.
then it's more effective. Yes, that's it. Very good. Okay, and we can easily see that with the help of a diagram. Just have a look to that diagram. Hopefully, I'm done in maybe 1 minute at a maximum. We will have the classical supply curve. Let's start with a very inelastic demand. But I would like to have 2 times the very same tax. How to do that? Maybe in that way. Should be here. How to do that? No. Okay, let's do it. 1.5, 2.5, 3.0, something like that. And then now have 1, 2, 3. And then I would like to come up in the second one with 1, 2, 3 again. Same amount of text, maybe there. And both of them go or the same, and then I need it. Okay, let me see if I can go on it that way. We will see it in a second. This does not work. Maybe I should. You will see in a second what I have in mind. I would like to come up with 2 times the same amount of text. Now again 3. Give it 1, 2. It's 0.512. Okay. That's the same amount of text, and now it should work. Now I need one last line. And then you can see the effects, but twice the same amount of text included. Okay, now it works. Now we have to go on there. This is the quantity of gasoline. And this is the price. As always, this is the supply. This is, let's say, this is a very elastic demand. And this is a, let's say, it's not really inelastic, but it's less elastic. Okay. Less elastic, and let's say this one is more elastic. And you can see here, this amount of text is the same amount of text there, okay? Same amount of text in blue. It's twice the same amount. And then you can see it. We are always starting in the equilibrium. We are always starting there, okay? This is always the, let's say, quantity number 1. And then you can see once you're imposing the tax with regards to a less elastic demand curve, then you can reduce it to that quantity. And if you're imposing the tax with regards to more elastic demand curve, the quantity goes down even more, okay? This is from here to there. This is reduction number 1 for the less elastic one. And this is reduction number 2 for the more elastic one, okay? And whenever it's more elastic, then you can reduce it to a further extent. The more elastic the demand curve, the more effective this tax will be in reducing the quantity. You can write it down there. The more elastic, the demand curve, the more elastic the demand curve is, the more effective this tax will be. In reducing the quantity of gasoline consumed. And for sure, you can, let's say, you can give names to the different quantities. Let's say this is Q more elastic, more, let's say M. No, this is less elastic. Thank you. L, and this is Q M. Okay, and the different reductions can then be easily defined. Reducing the quantity of gasoline consumed, and the reduction is the more elastic, the QM minus Q1. This is more than QL minus Q1. Okay, am I right? Oh no, it's no. I have to do the other way around, isn't it? I have to say Q1 minus QM. Okay, or in math terms, would be the easiest way would be that one. Okay, but we can do the other way around. I have to say Q1 minus QM. This is more than Q1 minus QL. Now it works. Or you can say that tax will cause a greater decline in the quantity sold when demand is elastic or more elastic. This here is the decline in quantity sold for the more elastic one, decline in quantity sold for the less elastic one. Clear to all of you? Good. Then let's do the last two questions. Are consumers of gasoline helped or hurt by this tax, and why?
Yeah, hurt by this tax because they have to pay more for it.
Yeah, they will get less gasoline and they will have to pay more for it. Okay, that's why for sure they are hurt. The part C, the consumers of gasoline are hurt. they get less gasoline at a higher price. Because there's a question in the chat by Peter. Help to repeat 6b again. Who wants to help me in repeating our solution for the part B again?
For part B,
Just go ahead, please.
the more elastic the demand is, the less quantity we're bound to have. At least in short term.
Yeah, if we are the government imposing the tax, we would like to go from there into that direction, okay? Because we would like to reduce the quantity of gasoline sold. This is the, let's say, classical equilibrium. We have one supply curve, and now we have two different demand curves to show the effect. We have always, or tried to include it in that way, that we have 2 times tax if we have a more elastic and if we have a less elastic demand curve. And then you can see imposing the same amount of tax with regards to the more elastic one, we can go more that direction, okay? Because here, that's the wedge approach. The wedge approach is always in between supply and demand. And if you have the more elastic one, then you are here and there. That's why this is the new quantity of gasoline sold for the more elastic. M means more elastic, L means less elastic. And if we have the more elastic one with the help of the tax, we can reduce the quantity sold by that amount. It's that one here, the difference. And if you have the less elastic demand curve, then you can reduce the quantity sold only by that amount. It's that one. Supply is inelastic. Now we wanted to do the focus with regards not to the supply side, but to the demand side, okay? Because here it says, here, demand, more elastic, less elastic, okay? Peter, we are not focusing to the supply side right now, but in terms of gasoline, I think the supply is heavily inelastic, isn't it? Because if I'm producing gasoline, tomorrow I can't produce tables and chairs, okay? Maybe in some months or years, okay? But typically, maybe the supply curve should be more like that one, okay? Or maybe really like that one. But the effects will be the very same. But if you're working with a very inelastic supply curve in the graph, then typically you can't see anything. But you can play around with different slopes. Okay, last part. Are workers in the oil industry helped or hurt by this tax?
They're hurt by this tax, like because they're getting less money for less oil.
Yeah, or they are producing, selling a lower quantity, isn't it? And that's why some workers they may lose their jobs due to the smaller quantity. Okay, and with a lower price received by the producers, wages of workers might decline as well. Okay, maybe you can do your own notes, and then we can speed up. I don't want to write down my overall solution about the workers in the oil industry. They are hurt by the tax as well. Workers in the oil industry are hurt by the tax. As well. We have a lower quantity maybe unemployment goes up. And we have a lower price. That's what you can see here as well. We have here price. This was first of all the price. And then now we have a new price buyers have to pay, a new price sellers will receive. The price sellers receive will be smaller, lower price. Lower price, let's do the other way around, lower price received by the producers. Then it's very clear, not being paid, but being received by producers. And that's why the wages might decline. And the wages of workers, they might decline. That's why here we have two effects. Maybe some of our workers, they will lose jobs, and the ones who will not lose their jobs, maybe they will receive less money. Any questions from your side up to now? No. Okay, and then let's do another summary. We did the quizzes for the chapters 2 and 3 in business, if I have it right in mind. Yes. Now let's go on with the quiz for chapter 4 business, and then we will do the first break. But in just a few minutes, I don't want to jump into the new chapter right now. That's why I'm adapting my plan. Please have a look to iLearn, okay? And then please refresh iLearn. And then you will see business chapter 4, the quiz. Business chapter 4, quiz. If you see it, I'll write it down to the chat as well.
In which chapter?
Business chapter 4, the quiz. Today we are jumping in between business and economics, but during the exam you will have to jump as well, okay? Please do that quiz right now. For the quiz, I can see that we have 13 attempts up to now, but there should be much more, isn't it? We have 18 students via Zoom and about 10 students in the classroom. Please, all of you, join for the quiz right now. Business chapter 4. Thank you. The question in the chat, LLC, Limited Liability Company. Can we always start together? Yeah. Some of you are doing the quiz for the second time. But did it? I can see that. Okay, let's start together, ladies and gentlemen. I can share my screen again with you. Who wants to help me? Which of the following is not an advantage of the corporate form of ownership?
Profit is taxed twice.
Yes, but that's profits or tax-wise, that's a disadvantage, okay? Not an advantage means disadvantage, because here, corporate form, it's easy to raise capital, that's an advantage. Ownership can be transferred, advantage. Does not kill the corporation. If you are dying, this does not kill the corporation. Yes, that's an advantage, and this is the only disadvantage. Was the easy warm-up question. Then a corporation whose stock is owned by relatively few people. It's called an
Closed corporation.
Yes, okay, but not as important as question number 1, for instance. when two business firms need large, and that's the key here, large sums of money to finance a project, are they likely to establish a
syndicate?
Yes, okay. That's what we have seen in the slides. Forget about that one, for instance. Okay, then the ability to combine skills and knowledge is an advantage of
partnership.
Yes, for the partnership, because let's say I'm good in repairing cars, you're good in management and marketing, whatever, and then let's build up a partnership, okay? So proprietorship, you're somehow alone. The not-for-profit corporation, okay, yeah, maybe this one is correct for this one as well, okay? And that's why I will not include any multiple choice questions for the exam, okay? Because there would be, I would have to be very, very carefully in phrasing the question. Okay, then question number 5. One of the advantages of a limited liability company is that owners have limited liability. Okay. And I think we have one last question. Unlimited liability means that there is no limit on the amount an owner can borrow. No, that's not correct, isn't it?
The owner is responsible for all business's debt.
Yes, that's the correct one. Let's check what the others are wrong. Creditors will absorb any loss from non-payment of the debt. No, that's makes no sense. The business can borrow money from any type of purchase. Makes no sense as well. Okay. Good. Any questions from your side with regards to that quiz? No? Okay. Any further questions? No. Let's do a break of about 20 minutes. Let's go on at 9:50. Okay. Break. Restart at 9:50. See you again in about 20 minutes. Thank you very much. I will write it down here as well. 9:50. Thank you.